Coming up on WUFT's First at 5, showers continue this evening. After the rain clears out, we are tracking a warm-up across north central Florida.
It's been a gray, plus a conservative activist speaks at UF this week. How the speaker is already stirring up controversy ahead of his visit.
And a new app being utilized by Alachua County Sheriff's deputies hopes to improve call response times. We'll break down the app already being used across north central Florida. First at 5 starts now.
First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
It's been a gray and gloomy Monday as bands of rain continue to make their way across north central Florida. Right now, we've already seen a ½ inch of rain here in Gainesville, and we expect to see showers continue into the evening. Welcome to First at 5. I'm Kirsten Maselka.
And I'm Bernardo Montas. The UF weather team is tracking a warm-up after the rain begins to clear up. UF forecaster Matthew Clark joins us from the Weather Center, timing out when that warm-up will start.
Yeah, that warm-up isn't going to start until all this rain clears out of our area. Most of that rain is in central Florida and down in South Florida. Right here, though, still getting a little mist outside in Gainesville, but most of the lighter showers are down south in Ocala and Marion County. That rain, once that clears up, is going to start to warm us back up. But right now, still dreary overlooking our campus cam. A little misty out there. Some stronger winds from the northeast, around 10 miles per hour. 58 degrees. So not only is it cold, but it's cold and it's rainy. So it's been a complete opposite of what it has been yesterday. So 58 in Gainesville, 59 Ocala, and 61 down in the villages. Big difference from yesterday, and those temperatures are going to remain pretty constant, and that rain chance is going to start to taper off as we head into the evening hours. Coming up, I'll talk about those lingering showers tonight and the warmer week coming up.
Alachua County deputies are optimizing their strategy for tracking locations using a locator app already used in more than 400 agencies across the country. Our Nicole Beltran is live in the newsroom with more about the app's features alongside the tracking process.
I'm in the WFT newsroom, but what if I told you I was at Supplied Librarian Twinge? Those are the 3 words behind me, creating a coordinate that makes it easier to track exactly where I am. The Alachua County Sheriff's Office is grabbing coordinates like this one to make tracking easier. Without numbers, letters, or coordinates, locations can be tricky to track for dispatchers. It's a challenge the Alachua County Sheriff's Office is looking to tackle. The Sheriff's Office partnership with What 3 Words divides the world into 10 by 10 square foot blocks and gives each block a unique set of 3-word coordinates.
3 precise words for any point on the planet. So table, chair, spoon might be one place. Filled, count, soap is the exact square for the entrance to our office. And that means that I could tell you exactly where I am and you could find me. Multiple agencies in north central Florida are already using the app. ACSO started using the app in January alongside its mapping software. The partnership between the 2 softwares cuts tracking time in half.
If you call in, the average before was about 6 seconds. We can now find your location in 2 to 3 seconds.
Alachua County Fire Rescue 911 specialist Hannah Mesh says people don't need the app on their phones to be tracked, and the app is efficient when finding people in large buildings.
Overall, since it divides the entire globe into the 3-meter squares, it's much better if you were in a school or an office where you could tell us where you are, but say that's a 3 or 4-story building. We could get your exact location and get to you a little bit quicker.
The app has reached 62 countries and 400 places in the U.S.
The Alachua County Sheriff's Office tells me it's thankful for technology like What 3 Words and says this software can mean the difference between life or death. Live in the newsroom, Nicole Beltran, WUFT News.
An Ocala coach is behind bars for an alleged sexual assault of a minor. Richard Hawkins was arrested Sunday on charges of indecent, lewd, or lascivious touching of a minor, false imprisonment, and carrying a firearm. Hawkins is involved in coaching youth athletes in Ocala and is a part owner of a business that focuses on children's entertainment and sports activities. OPD is encouraging anyone with relevant information or similar experiences with Hawkins to contact them.
A suspect is behind bars in Alachua County, accused of shooting and killing a victim over the weekend. Alachua County deputies say they responded to reports of a victim shot near 7700 Southwest 4th Place around 3 p.m. on Sunday. The victim was taken to the hospital where he later died. We're working to learn more about the suspect and will provide the updates as more information comes in. We're learning more about an accidental fire causing a house to go up in flames earlier this morning. We told you at noon the fire broke out at a home on Northwest 122nd Street, not too far from Newberry Road. Crews say the fire was started unintentionally and the fire spread from the renter's fireplace. No one was injured.
Marion County hospitals are providing Narcan to schools throughout the county as part of a new public health initiative. Narcan is a medicine used to rapidly reverse an opioid overdose in life-threatening emergencies. The Marion County Hospital District is working with the public schools to provide access to the medication and training for the staff. This is part of the Unintentional Injuries Initiative that aims to keep citizens from dying young and will potentially be expanded to private schools in the future. More information on the initiative will be available at the 2 public meetings shown on your screen.
Voters in District 6 are heading to the polls in April for a special election to fill a vacancy in the House of Representatives. Putnam County and Eastern Marion County voters will choose a replacement for Michael Waltz, who held a seat for 6 years before President Trump tapped him to serve as his national security advisor. Voters will choose from a slate of candidates, including Republican Randy Fine and Democrat Josh Weil. Fine is not new to politics, serving in the Florida House of Representatives for 8 years before switching to the state Senate in 2024 to represent District 19. He's received an endorsement from Trump and is challenged by Weil, an Orlando public school teacher representing the Democrats for his first political run. A win for the Democratic Party in this district could narrow the gap in the currently Republican-led House. Early voting runs from March 22nd to the 29th, and Election Day is April 1st.
A big name in politics is bringing his beliefs to the University of Florida. Conservative activist and founder of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk, is coming to UF for his American Comeback Tour. This speaking tour will be across many Florida universities, with his goal being to offer conservative perspectives on college campuses. Kirk has built a huge following through his Prove Me Wrong viral videos, where he debates individuals with opposing political viewpoints. Some students have found Kirk's future presence on the campus upsetting, one student even ripping down all promotional flyers.
I personally don't agree with his point of views a lot of the time, but that being said, I think that people have a right to be on the campus of the University of Florida.
I think it will bring a lot of attention to the University of Florida, which I think is good, because whether people think it's bad attention or good attention, will help our school to grow.
Kirk will be on campus Thursday in the Plaza of Americas at noon.
If you have hazardous waste to get rid of, Dixie County leaders can help. They're hosting a waste roundup March 15th for anything that can't go to a landfill. Fire rescue crews will be there to help get rid of any hazardous waste. That includes motor oil, old batteries, and even old cell phones or computers. You can drop your waste off at the Dixie County Fire Rescue Station or courthouse parking lot at the time shown on your screen.
Gainesville is holding its 2nd annual Vision Zero open house this Wednesday. There, the city will provide updates on its roadway safety efforts. The City Commission adopted the policy in 2018 to end traffic-related deaths and serious injuries. The open house will feature updates from the Transportation Department, public safety agencies, and community partners. It'll also be an opportunity for community feedback on the Vision Zero initiative. The open house is from 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the historic Thomas Center on Northeast 6th Avenue. The city is encouraging anyone from the Gainesville community to attend.
Santa Fe college leaders are hosting a prom sale to help students who may be struggling to afford dresses and accessories for the big dance. SFC received a large collection of gently used dresses from a woman who wanted to help the community. Each dress will be sold for only $25, and there will be shoes, accessories on sale as well. The sale will be on March 5th from 3 to 7 p.m. or until sold out in the SFC Northwest campus. Leaders are still accepting donations until March 4th. All proceeds will support the Academy and Santa Fe College Career Services Council. More than 2 million federal workers face a midnight deadline to summarize last week's work or face being fired.
And closer to home, Governor Ron DeSantis is launching a similar initiative. Coming up on First at 5, we'll break down the impacts a local task force could have on state colleges and universities. Stay with us.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Less than 7 hours ago, Governor Ron DeSantis launched a state DOGE task force. WUFT's Hayli Balgobin is live in the studio and tells us its potential impact on state employees.
Modeled after President Trump and Elon Musk's latest effort, DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, emerges at the state level. According to Ron DeSantis, universities and state colleges are subject to change under the DOGE task force. Its mission? Diminish any state government positions and spending the task force deems wasteful. The task force already targeted over 70 state boards and commissions, which will eliminate 740 state government positions. DeSantis says This initiative will best serve the people of Florida in years ahead.
That we are launching a comprehensive initiative to continue to streamline our government and to continue to eliminate unnecessary bureaucracy and to continue to ensure tax dollars are used in the most efficient way possible.
The DOGE task force will last 1 year. The governor has yet to release who will serve on the team, but says more information is to come. DeSantis plans to utilize AI technology to manage payment operations and contracts. He says he was inspired by Elon Musk's incorporation of the technology on the federal level. Live in the studio, Hayli Balgobin, WUFT News.
More than 2 million federal workers face a midnight deadline to summarize last week's work accomplishments to billionaire Trump donor Elon Musk or face being fired.
But some federal agencies are telling their employees not to comply. NBC's Julie Sirkin explains this comes as Musk and President Trump rapidly downsize the federal government and cut programs authorized by Congress.
Confusion and frustration surrounding the latest demand from Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency. Over the weekend, sending an email to millions of federal workers, telling them to justify their jobs by midnight tonight. Today, while hosting French President Emmanuel Macron at the White House, President Trump once again endorsing the billionaire's moves.
I think everyone thought it was a pretty ingenious idea.
Now, several agency heads telling those same workers not to respond, including the Department of Justice. In an email, the Assistant Attorney General for Administration said because of the confidential and sensitive nature of the department's work, employees do not need to respond.
The execution of this email was terrible and seems to have been sent out with almost no coordination from the actual agency heads who were appointed by this administration.
As the Trump administration pushes on with cuts, Republican lawmakers are walking a tightrope, facing backlash from constituents back home, while backing up the president's policies in Washington.
I think it's not a big thing to expect of federal employees to do what we do in the private sector.
House and Senate Democrats who don't have the votes to fight back are relying on the courts to intervene.
What Donald Trump is doing is illegal, it's violative of our Constitution, and it has to be stopped. And I'm proud to see a movement growing that ultimately, I believe, is going to stop Donald Trump from doing these very destructive things.
The president navigating domestic ire and anger overseas, too, as allies question his stance on Ukraine. Mr. Trump meeting with French President Macron and talking to G7 leaders as Putin's brutal war enters its 4th year. In Washington, Julie Sirkin, NBC News.
Sunny weather yesterday, rainy weather today. I'll have when we can expect to see that sunny weather again after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
This past weekend's lovely weather now overshadowed by this rain, and it's been pretty depressing.
Absolutely. It has been so gloomy this Monday. I think the weather's upset that the weekend's over.
I know I'm certainly upset that the weekend's over. Not sure about the weather, but we are tracking a system that's moving its way across Florida that's bringing this rain in. There's been a little less rain right now than there was earlier when we were waking up today. It was pretty gray and gloomy, and it still is. But again, a lot less rain right now than there was earlier. Most of that rain is down south in Marion County right now, and a lot of that rain is a part of this low pressure system off the Gulf right now, bringing in a lot of rain to South Florida. But right here in Gainesville, it's a little misty outside still, but this rain is going to start to clear up as we head into tonight and into tomorrow morning. So again, lots of rain across South and Central Florida. This system is going to move across the Florida Peninsula and could bring us a couple residual showers into early tomorrow morning. So if you're waking up pretty early tomorrow morning, could see some stray showers or so. But once that low pressure system moves its way off into the Atlantic, it clears up quite nicely. So we're going to have a much nicer day tomorrow than we have had today. Still could be some cloud coverage. Now, rain totals haven't gotten too much rain here. It's been a lot of sprinkling today. A lot more rain down south, about an inch of rain, half an inch of rain in Crystal River, about a quarter inch of rain here in Gainesville. Again, lots of drizzles, not a lot of heavy downpours here in Gainesville. But right now, it is still dreary overlooking that campus cam. It's also pretty cold outside right now. 58 overlooking this campus cam with those gray skies. So 58 with this gray skies, no clouds. It's feeling a little bit cooler right now with those winds coming from the north as well. Rest of our area, 59 in Ocala, 60 in the Villages, and 61 down in Crystal River. So pretty mild. It's a lot cooler right now than it was this time yesterday because of those clouds. We haven't seen an ounce of sun today. Yesterday it was beautiful outside. Today, not so much. So we are a lot colder today because the sun has not been able to heat us up because we haven't seen that sun, but we should see that sun tomorrow. Now into the rest of the evening, those temperatures are going to stay pretty fair. Fewer showers in the lingering showers are going to head into tomorrow night. This next system that we're tracking is this little swirly guy all the way off the coast of the Pacific Northwest. So we're tracking our low pressure system right now as it moves its way off into the Atlantic Ocean. This low pressure system is going to move its way across the nation. It's going to kind of stall as it makes its way towards us, but it's going to bring in some cloud coverage late into Thursday night and into Friday morning. Could see a residual shower or so from this, but not nearly as strong of a system as we're experiencing right now. But the good news is with this system is it's going to clear up our weekend very nicely. So sunshine all across the board on Saturday and Sunday. And again, even though it's Monday, can never look ahead to that weekend too much. This weekend's going to be beautiful with highs in the low 70s and sunshine. So it's going to be a beautiful weekend. So at least we have something to look forward to towards the end of the week. So that front isn't going to clear us out too much in terms of temperature. Going to drop us down into the upper 60s, but then look at that mid 70s. It's going to be beautiful out in that midweek. It's also going to be pretty nice out as well. And we could see some 80 as we head into late parts of next week.
Florida had a busy weekend on the hardwood as the Gators men's squad looked to survive one of its most daunting tests to date on the road against LSU. Meanwhile, UF's women's squad went down to the wire against a ranked adversary of its own. We'll have more on how everything unfolded this weekend after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Happy Monday, everyone. I'm Jack Meyer. Let's get the show on the road with some Florida men's basketball. And despite 6 wins in a row, the Gators dropped 1 spot in the latest AP poll. Florida fell to number 3 in this week's rankings, and with Auburn and Duke ranking 1-2. The Gators just survived a scare on the road this past weekend against the LSU Tigers. Despite trailing by 6 points at halftime, Florida rode a second-half surge to a 79-65 victory. As UF now enters the home stretch of its season, head coach Todd Golden announced on Tuesday that standout forward Alex Condon is expected to return to the court this week.
I think he'll play tomorrow night. I do, unless something happens at practice today. He was very close on Saturday. I think he wanted to play. He was chomping at the bit a little bit. But, just as we've been able to do with Walt and Elijah, we just don't want to bring him back too early.
Up next for the Gators is another road contest tomorrow, this time against the Georgia Bulldogs. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m. Staying put on the hardwood, Florida's women's squad put a ranked opponent of their own to the test on Sunday as they took on the number 15 Tennessee Lady Volunteers. Florida came out of the gates looking for a dogfight as there's Layla Reynolds coming down with a huge block as she's going to take it right back down the court, pass it off to Liv McGill here. Now McGill, she's had a phenomenal season for Florida. She's going to dance around at the top of the key a little bit. She's going to slice and dice her way through the paint for a fancy finish. Now Florida was up by 6 points at the end of the first half, but that changed as Tennessee broke out on a 37-point third quarter. This game went right down to the wire, but all of a sudden, Volunteers, it was nothing but Tennessee for the rest of the evening. It was all sealed here on this and one over UF's Alexia Mobley. This play in turn just all but sealed Florida's fate in this ballgame. UF was unable to come away with its first ranked win this season as the Lady Bulls escaped Gainesville unscathed in an 86-78 victory. Florida head coach Kelly Ray Finley said that while she was proud of her squad's efforts, Tennessee's explosive third quarter proved to be the Gators' undoing.
That third quarter got away from us. I thought we made some, errors defensively. They made an adjustment. We knew at halftime that, some things might change, in areas that we couldn't control.
Now switching on over to the Diamond, Florida baseball is moving on up in the rankings following their 7-0 start to the 2025 campaign. Florida took care of business against the Dayton Flyers in historic fashion this weekend. The Gators came away with double-digit victories in all 3 of their games this weekend, marking the first time they've done so in 20 years. UF rose 2 spots to number 8 in this week's D1 baseball poll. This week, the Gators will travel to DeLand for a matchup with Stetson on Tuesday before returning to Gainesville the next day to play host to North Florida. Now, Florida baseball isn't the only Gator squad that's been tearing it up on the Diamond as of late. UF softball is coming off a dominant weekend of its own at the Sun Devil Classic in Arizona. The Gators capped off a 5-0 weekend with a flat-out stellar showing against Iowa State. Florida ended up scoring 3 touchdowns and a field goal, yes, you heard that right, en route to a 24-3 win over the Cyclones. Junior third baseman Kenley Cahalan led the way in UF's weekend finale with 3 hits and 6 RBIs. Next up, the Gators will take on FGCU in a Wednesday midweek contest before hosting the Florida Invitational this coming weekend. Meanwhile, the Florida women's golf team came away with a second-place finish at this weekend's Reynolds Lake Oconee Invitational in Greensboro, Georgia. All 6 of UF's golfers finished inside the top 20 of the event. Sophomore Inez Archer led the way for Florida with a 5th place individual finish as she shot 5 over for the weekend. The Gators now have 2 events remaining in their regular season. The Gators Invitational, which will run from March 7th to 9th, and the Chattanooga Invitational, which will take place at the end of March. And finally, Florida's men's tennis squad is taking on the Alabama Crimson Tide as we speak. At last check, the Gators and the Tide were all tied up at 3 points each. They were actually supposed to play on the outdoor courts today, but they had to move on inside because of all the rain, but clearly that hasn't stopped the excitement on the court today.
Yeah, and although the court has been pretty exciting, things haven't been looking too excited outside.
I know, right? I need this rain to stop, but Matthew, can you tell us how the weather's looking?
Yeah, it's slowing down a little bit now, but this morning it was pretty doom and gloom outside with a lot of rain. Again, it's starting to slow down right now, but as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday, it's going to be a much nicer day tomorrow as we head into parts of the midweek. Yesterday was a beautiful day. We're going to start seeing that sunshine again tomorrow, and especially on Wednesday with high reaching up in the upper 70s. It's going to be a beautiful midweek before we get our next system that moves through Thursday night into Friday. Could bring us a tiny sprinkle or two, only going to drop down the temperature a little bit before bringing us a very beautiful weekend on Saturday and Sunday. 73 as a high on Saturday, 76 on Sunday. It's going to be a great weekend to look forward to, even though it's Monday.
Thanks, Matthew, and thanks for joining us. We're back here tomorrow for another edition of First at 5.
But your North Central Florida news is always on at WUFT.org and on all our social media platforms. Have a good night.